Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. The NFL draft is in the rear view. UDFAs are finding landing spots across the NFL, and the Titans reportedly have signed multiple players, such as two from Tennessee in running back Jabari Small and cornerback Gabe Jeudy-Lally, also a former Vanderbilt Commodore. Titans also reportedly signing Washington running back Dylan Johnson and Texas Tech guard Cole Spencer. In other NFL news, the Kansas City Chiefs gave tight end Travis Kelce a new 2-year contract worth over $34 million, $17 million of it guaranteed for this coming season. The Jacksonville Jaguars have released wide receiver Zay Jones. And the Nashville Predators are in Vancouver tonight. It's Game 5 in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Preds trailed the series 3-1. They are facing elimination tonight. Puck drop is at 9 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's go, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm Blaine and Mickey. Good to have you with us. I was looking through some tweets earlier. Twitter has this thing where it's people you follow, then they have this whole other section of people you don't follow, but it always defaults to that. And the first thing I saw in there was Morocco. This just showed up on my Twitter. He said, I couldn't agree more with Blaine Bishop when it comes to Sweat. Literally, the only concern I have about him is conditioning and whether he can be effective late in the games. The dude has pass rushing abilities, and he doesn't give up on plays. Because I spent last night, I was just kind of reading everybody's draft wrap-ups and things like that. And Jim Wyatt has the draft grades that he tweeted out. Well, the Sweat pick is the one that's getting all the scrutiny from everybody. And some people are saying he was taken too early, which, hey, man, everybody's draft board is different. If you don't have a third-round pick, then you got to take a guy that you or we saw him do it with Byard. They didn't have a fourth-round pick. They had a third-round pick. They took Byard in the third round. Some people said that was too early. Well, that turned out to be a pretty darn good pick. Conditioning comes up, the DWI comes up, all that kind of stuff. But they met with him. They flew to his house. They met with him there. They met with his family. They got to know him. He came here and visited, obviously, the day after he got it. But this dude was so productive at Texas. And there's talk about his weight. I don't know what he weighed at Texas, but, man, was he productive there. But there's a lot of scrutiny on that pick. But, Blaine, you got into that a whole lot yesterday. And, again, like I said, the first thing I see is a guy saying that he agrees with you, just his concern, Morocco on Twitter, conditioning. But a lot of scrutiny on this pick. They wanted a big guy, though. I'd written this down. There was a quote from Callahan. He was asked about the Titans' first two picks. This was Friday night. He said, I think we've added, I don't know, maybe 700 pounds worth of player in two picks. That's on purpose. That's by design. It's a big man's league, and you need big people to move the line of scrimmage. We wanted to make sure we invested into the right players in our fronts. So they had a plan, obviously, and they followed through with their plan.
Yeah. I mean, so they went after their guy. There's some things I didn't even touch on that I wrote down about him yesterday when I was touching on all the things I was recalling after I watched him so much. Very talented player. And, oh, by the way, I don't know whose Twitter handle or X handle it was, showed him already working out, sweating, working out with skill guys, by the way. He said, I want to prove everybody wrong what they think about me when they don't know about me. All right. So here's one thing that I should have said yesterday. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. We know that's one of the things we like about players is check mark, boom, defensive player. That's not happenstance. That does happen on occasion. That means that dude's a baller. Now, if you ask anybody who plays at Texas, they'll tell you he was the best player on the team. They follow Texas. These are people I know that are Texas graduates, and they follow the team. And he's one of their favorite players. Number 2. Outland Trophy winner. Outland Trophy. For all those who don't know what that is, that means he's the best interior lineman in the country. And that's what you get as an award as a college student. So obviously, he must be pretty freaking good. All right? Now, what are the cons? And we've all talked about them, whether it's the DWI. Some of the details there, if you kind of go into that, it really wasn't what you think. I mean, somebody hit him in behind. So, let's start. And then that's how he got caught like that. But, you can't get it, but I don't want people give a barber. Oh, it was 3 weeks beforehand. And like he ran and was just driving 110 miles an hour. That wasn't the case. So I think that's why they wanted a checklist and let's go down and let's go see him. They didn't know even if they were going to draft him. Like, they didn't know he would be available or not. And if he was available and you liked him, who cares if it was somewhat of a reach is what people are saying. Yeah, he was supposed to be in the late 40s, 50s. Well, he might have not been available then. So I really like what I see on film. A lot of people say 2 down, 3 down guy. If he just gets his endurance right and get in shape. Oh, by the way, that's what he was doing, working out. I said that yesterday. I think he'll be fine, and I think he could potentially be an elite level player. So, I mean, there's nothing. He's physical. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. Now, if you're a stat guy and you just want to look at his stats, it's not going to wow you with his sack numbers. But you got to go look at interior guy who's a big guy like he is, and a lot of people say he was 360 something, and some people say he might have got up to 380. He's got a lot of pressures. But if you go watch him thoroughly, he is always having pressure on the quarterback, and he has pass rush moves. He's not just a bull rusher. He shows pass rush moves. You see his hands and chopping and swimming and doing all these different things, and you go, man, this guy is the real deal. So, I think he's fine at 38. He's in shape. He's in the right mindset around some other like-minded players like a Jeffrey Simmons. I think the sky's the limit. I don't think here's the characteristics everybody's trying to put him in which he's really not. And that is that he's not a follower. He wants to only follow people that can make him better. If I'm going to just categorize it, he's not like a guy's like he's finding trouble. He's lazy, all these things. I don't know if anybody at Texas would probably say anything bad about great personality, down to earth. Great family, so, hey, all the marks are there for positivity. It's on him now. So, yeah, can he fail? Yeah, he could fall. He could fail. He could, if he doesn't stay in line, he's out on his own with a pocket full of money, and we see if his pockets get heavy, and that means his belly gets heavy, and then all of a sudden, then he becomes, in my era, Henry Ford. You eat your way out of the league. So, and he was a first-round pick, too, by the way, and defensive end and was really good at Arkansas. So, I think we shall see. We shall see. I can't speak for that guy, but just with him already out there running, that is very rare. I'm going to say this. After the day I got drafted, I wasn't running the next day. I'll tell you that. So, and he out there in that heat in Texas.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we shall see. Verdict still out there. And all of the guys are. They're going to be, so I would hope that they vetted him in the character side of it, and that he's a motivated guy to be the best person he can be on and off the field. So we shall see. We shall see. I'm not going to speak on his behalf. I don't even know the guy. I never met him.
And Blaine, to your point about the fact that he might not have been there if they had traded back, 7 defensive tackles and 2 edge rushers went in the second round.
So there was a run on them.
Yep.
So I would say Rand called it right. It wouldn't have been available. Now, what I wish it was available was a big-time pass rusher. Was there somebody available? You guys watched it. I don't know if it was.
So the only 2 edge rushers
in the first round
that went in the second round were at picks 56 and 57 were Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan. He went to the Cowboys. And then Chris Braswell from Alabama went to the Bucks. They went back-to-back at 56 and 57.
And Neelan was the guy you talked about who said, look, this guy played at Western Michigan, and he didn't dominate.
Yeah, he didn't dominate. He was getting doubled. He only had 4 sacks. I remember him off the cuff because I watched him, and I really wanted to see how good he was. There was a guy that went first round when I was coming out from the MAC, Dan Williams, and he ended up being just an okay player. And so that's why I really wanted to pay attention. I didn't like what I saw. I would have been all right with Braswell though.
I would have been all right with Braswell.
Yeah.
And then the other defensive tackles.
He had some nice numbers at Alabama, playing against the best of the best and offensive linemen who were all getting drafted. And
Little birdie on the staff there. So I talked about every Alabama player that was eligible to be drafted, and they said if he doesn't go before the third round, they'll be shocked.
The other defensive tackles that were drafted there in the second round, so the two before Sweat were Rook Ororo. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
Rook Ororo, yes.
Out of Clemson, he went to the Falcons at 35.
Huge and terrifying, yes.
The guy that
Andre Rison had to announce him. That's he messed up. That's a tough one there, man.
Yeah, don't give me that one.
The guy that I really liked, Jerzon Newton, went to the Commanders at 36 out of Illinois.
I liked him, Johnny Newton.
Then Braden Fisk went to the Rams, one pick after Sweat did.
Yeah, my guy.
And then the other two defensive tackles, Mason Smith out of LSU went to the Jags, and Chris Jenkins out of Michigan went to the Bengals. And then Mike Hull Jr. was the final defensive tackle. He went to the Browns out of Ohio State.
What are the measurables, real quick, on Fisk? I know me and you kind of debated about that a couple days ago. But I thought he was 6'3". He was way bigger than I thought he was, because on TV he looks like he's a shorter guy.
Oh, so you're right. He's 6'4", 290.
See, and I said, no, this guy's big.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he looked small. He did look smaller on TV when we were watching the Combine.
Yeah.
And some of it has to do with you standing next to all the hugest humans at the Combine.
But his motor, now, I'm going to say this, based off, I only watched him a couple games.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this when it was live in action during the season. And I was watching the Verse kid, the outside guy.
Yep.
And so then my eyes kept drawing me back to him. And so he was dominating in a way against Louisville that I loved. And then you go look at him a little bit more. His motor is nonstop. So there's a part of me I might have, if you wanted to take the easy road out, I might have taken him before I took Sweat. Just because I like what I saw on the film. There, he's all gas and smoke. That's what the terms we use on the football field. He is all about all of that. And his motor doesn't stop. He is, and the Rams got him. He is actually a bigger version. And I'm going to just say it. Nobody's going to ever be him. Aaron Donald. He is a bigger version of that. This guy was running downfield like Big Jeff and hitting people 15, 20 yards down the field, and he was chasing them down. It was unbelievable.
That was a conversation we were having yesterday, because I think Banana said, is he around Aaron Donald's size? And you're like, no. Fisk is bigger than Aaron Donald.
Oh, yeah. This guy.
Aaron Donald was not the biggest human being.
Yeah.
He just
what'd you say? He's like 6 foot? 6 foot?
And I didn't even notice. Someone told me, I didn't even... that he transferred there from like a Mac school or something. I did not know.
He went to Western Michigan, where the other guy was at.
With Marshawn Nealon.
I was like,
yes.
Oh my. That's where that effort come in right there. Like, I had to work and earn everything I got, but he's got pass rush skills and he's got some super duper ability, man.
Aaron Donald was listed at 6'1", 280.
Yeah, he about 6 feet. Yeah, so this guy, ain't nobody's gonna be Aaron Donald, but hey, that'd probably be the only player I liked at the D tackle the best. I mean, remember that was one of my guys. We all listed who we wanted on the second day. Remember, I landed Fisk. He was my guy. Yeah, so they do need somebody kind of big run stopper, but are you going to take him at 38? And that's always going to be the question: is he more than just a run stopper?
Yep.
When you see big mass like that, and just by the way, they drafted 700-something pounds of first, second round.
They drafted basically
that's a lot of beef, man.
Two of the biggest people at their positions. They took them both one after the other, and he said, like I read that quote, they were intentional about it. All right. I didn't realize this at the time.
What happened?
Brian Callahan told us on the 10th of this month that they were going to draft T'Vondre Sweat. And at the time, I even thought it. Matter of fact, well, I don't think I said it, but I thought it.
What?
He told us the future. I'll read you the quote next. He told us what they were going to do. This is mind-blowing. I'll read it next. Blaine and Mickey, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
No
See
way.
the future. Yep.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Blaine and Mickey, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Thanks for hanging out with us. Get involved with the show, 615-737-1045. We'd love to hear from you. Get your thoughts on anything that you want to tell us about. OG says in the F&M Bank chat, Sweat's the new Hainsworth. I saw a big Twitter hubbub about this. Some folks saying the same thing. And finally, the guy who had said it said, no, I mean in a good way, like good Albert Hainsworth, not bad. Like I think
I think a defensive player of the year.
Yes, yeah, no, I see the same. He was saying this is a good thing. I would imagine maybe that's what OG is saying. Hainsworth had, Blaine, we talked about this, the year that he had, the contract year, and he was good the year before. Mm-hmm. His contract year is one of the most dominant things I've ever seen. He was a defensive lineman, so not an edge rusher. This is a defensive lineman. He was controlling games. I told the story. They called a penalty on him against the Jack. I couldn't remember who it was. We were talking about one day, and Mike Keith was listening. He texted me and said it was Maurice Jones-Drew. He tackled him so hard, they called a penalty. He just picked him up and threw him down. And they penalized. I can remember the officials like, I don't know, unnecessary roughness. You can't do that.
He was something to behold. It'll be a heck of a conversation with who had the best single season defensively between him and Javon Curse. I mean, oh man. And Javon Curse did not win Defensive Player of the Year. Albert Hainsworth did. Yeah. I mean, I know he stomped on that guy Garrard's head for the Cowboys, but he was mean. He was nasty. When he was going to chase that money, I had never seen anyone ever in a Titans uniform do what he did in that single season. It was unbelievable. He was unstoppable. And if they stopped him, then Vanden Bosch or whoever else was on, they all ate. And it was something to behold, man. I always laugh when I see Albert, and all I think about is those 2 seasons. I said, boy, you was going after that money. Yeah. And so when somebody plays like that, and then they had it all the other time, like the 2 or 3 years before that, when he was playing good, right? Don't get me wrong, but he was on another level. Those are signs where then you don't pay the guy. See that? Yeah, I mean, just real talk. This is real talk. This is how you evaluate a player, whether you give him the money or not. You don't base it off of that 1 year or 2 years. You base it off of the body of work, because that shows you he was only playing for the money. He wasn't playing like that his first 2 or 3 years. He wasn't even close to that. He was good, but he wasn't like this. This was on a whole nother plane. It was Hall of Fame level. That's what the dudes who are in the Hall of Fame, that's how, with that talent he had, that's what they play like every year. Every year. And so every year he should have been in the hunt for Defensive Player of the Year. Whether you win it or not, it's always somebody out there that's doing, 2 or 3 guys that are doing really well. So a different position. So, you just don't know. But, yeah, he was on that level.
He only played 3 more years after that transcendent year. He only played three more years of NFL football, and he was 30 when he was done. But his big money contract year was the age of 27. $100
million contract, right?
That was when we all learned really what tampering was, because it was announced at like 12:01 that he had signed it. I said, that's the fastest negotiation I've ever seen.
Now to defend Hainsworth, when he got the money and why he only played 3 more years, is they changed coaching staff after they got him there, and then they said, you're going to be the nose guard in a 3-4 defense.
Right.
And he was like, no can do.
Right. Didn't come here.
First of all, I'm going to get criticized. I'm never going to get a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
The nose guard is not that guy.
Yep.
He's the guy that's plugging and holding off, guards, and so the linebackers can make the play.
He's Sweat. The nose guard.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm better than that, and I can't, so it never was going to work.
So that year after 2008 and 2009, if you look, all of his stats literally got cut in half. Right after that 2008 season.
Well, it just shows you how scheme system matters.
Yep.
And they switched up without him knowing, with them firing the coach. It was not
after he signed.
Yes.
He learned all this stuff. I'll never forget it.
It was unfortunate. He was doomed. And he tried to go out there and play, but he was like, hey, man, I'm getting hit from my left, right. And he's a tall guy now.
Yeah.
He's not, most of those guys are, 6'1" and thick, and he's short like that. He's not like that. He said, man, I'm getting the leg. He said, man, I'm bound to get injured up here. I'm too big. I'm too tall.
6'6". 335.
So he's just like, this is trade me. He was like, trade me. Because I remember, I think he was like at training camp, like pissed off.
Yeah.
They had him running like on the side because he was like, no, I'm not playing nose guard. He said, no. He said, I won't even get one sack. And I'd be like, oh, why do we spend $100 million for one sack? Yeah, maybe. Could have handled it a little different, but hey, man.
It was unfortunate, though, to take a guy who did what he did really so well and say, well, that's just not what we do. You're not going to get the most out of him.
Yeah.
In any way possible. That's not the position that he plays. Like you said, a nose guard is a different guy physically than Albert.
Mm-hmm.
And for Titans fans who love Danico Autry, think about a guy who's a defensive end, not an. Think about Hainsworth. We all think about the destruction that Danico Autry caused. Hainsworth was more destructive than that, playing a similar role. But it was, you guys were a 4-3 versus a 3-4, but
he was.
But he was a problem.
Yeah, and I think Sweat can eventually get there. And he's 6'6", right? He's just like Albert. He's bigger, or 6'4". What is his height?
I think 6'4".
He is
6'4", 366.
6'4".
Yeah. So yeah, he's up there. So he not. So hopefully we'll get some portion of that, but we'll get it the entire time. Because he may be in a mood where I have to prove to these guys that I'm more than just that, and I'm going to be on solid ground. If he doesn't, hey, man, the leash is sharp.
Let's get Brian's call. He's got an Albert Hainsworth story, 615-737-1045. Brian, we're just having some remembering here before I tell you guys that I knew the future earlier this month. What's going on?
So I went into a locker room meeting, and it was with the defensive line, Jim Washburn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in the far right corner was a 2x4 with white tape on it. And somebody asked in the group, what was that for? And he said it was to keep violent millionaires in line. And he said, anybody specific? And he said, Hainsworth. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I have no idea. I was not in their meeting room, so
I didn't know if you were in that meeting room, but I mean, he just talked about what a beast he was.
That would not surprise me, though. I mean, Washburn was a hoot too, by the way.
Yeah,
for sure. It was great, and it was a wonderful time just sitting and talking with him and how honest he was in that moment. And I had no other reason not to believe him.
Yeah. He was, Washburn was a great motivator with all those guys, and they all had a special relationship with him. So yeah, he got the most out of Albert Hainsworth. As Bananas just said, the stats just gradually went down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey man, he'd be over there saying these phrases we could all hear. We'd stop and just listen to Washburn in practice. DB's like, dang man, that was funny as heck. Did you hear what he just said?
He was creative. And it was a creative cusser, like the way he would weave obscenities into his coach.
So you wouldn't get offended, but you get like why he was saying what he was saying, So I like Wash. He was funny, man. He was hilarious. But he's a character.
Wash is one of those guys that people would say, man, I've never been to Titans practice before. There's this one coach that just yells the whole time. I feel like it's Jim Washburn.
Yeah, it starts off with get off. Everything's about to get off.
Yep.
So they definitely was getting off the ball and hunting. Got to respect that.
Well, I mean, this team was known for defense for a long time because of coaches like him on that side of the ball and because of how you guys played with the coaches that you have. But yeah, Big Al, 2008 Sporting News Defensive Player of the Year. He was the 2008 September Defensive Player of the Month. Here's like him being Player of the Week one week. He was first team All-Pro. He was Pro Bowl that year. I mean, there was nothing that he didn't win that year. Somebody mentioned, Rob said, I was at a game where he jumped across the line of scrimmage defending the goal line, stopped the play basically all by himself. I think that was against the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
May have been against Leftwich playing quarterback.
Because I think I said on there, he just ate one of the guys.
The guy disappeared. The center basically disappeared. It's like he guessed the snap count. He had the snap count timed, but a guy 6'6", 3, well, he was probably bigger than 335. He was just in the backfield all at once. Like he jumped over the center.
Yeah. Yeah, defensively, he was. I hadn't seen. Javon, Keith Bullock in a 1-year sample, and Albert Hainsworth, and Albert to me, and they were all three together one time where we were at a function, and I asked all three of them while we're all sitting there as defensive guys and said, who had the best single season in Titans history? Not your career.
Who did they say? Each of them said themselves?
Yeah. No. Each of them said the other person.
Oh.
Albert didn't. He pointed at Keith. Keith pointed. I mean, it was. They never. I said, I don't know, man. Javon, I don't know. I think Albert got you. And I think it was more because Javon, that was his rookie year when he did, some incredible thing. Now, he did other things incredible, but I'm talking about where it was just like he was controlling games. When you see an individual in a pro game, in any pro sport, hockey, basketball, and they're controlling the game, you go, this guy is something special. So it was pretty unique that they've had, those type of players.
Javon.
Yeah.
Javon's rookie year.
Yeah, it was. I was out there.
He was defensive rookie of the year. He was second for AP defensive player of the year. He was second.
Oh, he was second too.
He was Pro Bowl. He was first team All-Pro.
Yeah. He
had 14.5 sacks. He had fumble recovery. He scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
He had eight
Cause fumbles.
Forced fumbles.
Yeah.
Blaine.
That was from tackling the quarterback from the blind side.
He was a defensive end. He had 9 pass breakups.
Yeah. Not only was he special.
He had 9 pass breakups where remember they tried to throw it, he'd jump in there and swat it down.
Yeah. He was the best athlete on the field. It was unbelievable. Like I literally had to stop backpedaling or I wasn't going to be part of the game. He was just that dominant. So when you look at the stats, Bananas, you can be part of this. Where'd you go? Oh, who do you think is better? Take your UT orange glasses off too, by the way. And who has the better stats? Because I know you probably didn't get to see Javon. I don't even know how much you saw of Albert, but what do you think there, Bananas? Who do you think was the better player for a 1-year window? So is Javon Kirsch's rookie year or Albert Hainsworth's, what was it, his 4th and 5th year? It was his 5th year, I think.
Hold on, let me back up because I got it all in line here.
But it was unbelievable.
It was actually his 7th year.
It was his 7th year with the Titans? Oh, he was going on his second contract.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, in 2008.
Third contract.
And it looked like, we discussed this, at one point it looked like they were going to get it done for the mid-30s. Remember? Because it's like they offered 33, but he wanted 35 or 34.
Uh-huh. And they could have gotten him for cheap.
They could have gotten him for that and just been done with it. And he could have played here for the rest of his life. But it was in the 30s of millions.
Yeah.
It was 30-something million. Albert, if you're listening, I'm trying to remember correctly. But I want to say it was a difference of 32 and 34 or 33 and 30.
How do we get on this?
5 or so.
The best defensive player right there. The best single season. You think it's Curse? I just saw you read it.
I think it's Curse. Look, I mean, just
Let me look up Bullock's
And the reason
best
why I say Albert is because I was out there with Curse, so I couldn't really feel the effect. Like how I knew he impacted the game because I'd have to backpedal.
14 and a half sacks.
He was
58 tackles, 49 solo tackles.
He was
15 tackles for loss. He came in second in AP Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie.
Yeah, it was.
He was an all pro as a rookie.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
it's hard to do.
That as a rookie, first year in the league, that is.
It's Jack Conklin type stuff.
That's insane.
Oh, right.
He was first team All-Pro as a rookie.
Yeah, he was. But I don't know. Javon, man, you might have sold me. You might have been Javon. Listen to the stats and just all of that. I mean, it was every game. I mean, but man, I think it was more because I got to see and watch Albert. That's why I say that. But I was out there with Javon. Every game we were watching the video, like, dang, man, they can't stop him. They double team. They still can't stop him. Then he was the best athlete and was the fastest athlete out there. Once he ran past Samari Rowe on that tackle on Quadri Ishmael. That's it. Uh-oh.
And there's plenty of video of it.
Yeah,
that play pops up every now and again, like on his birthday.
He rushed the passer and then ran all the way and just kept running because they were yelling him in the video at practice. I mean, in the meetings, talking about he was resting. Mm-hmm. When he rushed the passer and the guy threw the ball, said, "You stop. Why are you not still running?" And that was the greatest thing ever. And they didn't say it like that, by the way. Greg Williams was never talking like that. He was like, "Get your
Yes,
go get him."
Words. Yes.
And then once he got it, and boy, it was over. It was lights out.
I will say this because I was trying to figure out K-Bull's best season. If we're going to put each season,
all I think about is the New Orleans game where you got 3 interceptions in one game. Against Drew Brees, by the way, Hall of Famer.
That's Mr. Monday Night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, so that was
Bull had the best career.
Yeah, he's number one on career. That's why I've always said that he's the best defensive player in Titans history.
I mean, he had 10 years here.
His body of work and consistency is just, I don't think anybody touches it.
1,078 tackles. He had 19 interceptions here. And, they didn't ask him to sack the quarterback much. He had 18 sacks in his career here. But the interceptions, the thing about Bull was he was like Byard. If you needed a big play, he would show up with a ball in his hands. Mm-hmm. He made big plays. He's literally Mr. Monday Night,
Yeah.
Man,
I think, watch this. This is going to blow your mind because I played with him for 3 years.
I remember.
Even in his prime when I wasn't playing with him, he was underutilized. I mean, that sounds insane. Like
it does sound insane.
If he was like on the Steelers, because this guy could rush the passer.
Yes.
He could rush the passer too. We never utilized him in that manner, like, on a blitz, but it's not playing. I'm talking about where they say, okay, we're going to line you up outside and you're going to rush. It was like, ooh. By the way, both of those guys were transitional guys, just like I've been talking about. See, I've transitioned this. James Williams. Keith Bullock was a safety converted to linebacker in college. Javon Curse played safety in high school, then linebacker, then defensive end in the pros. And see, that's why it became easier for them. And then now they just now to learn how to, learn their craft at that position with their athleticism based off guys converted. That's why I say if James Williams buys in and can figure it out, he can do somewhat of the same thing. Yeah. It would turn this whole draft class upside down. It will be, A+. Because it's really unfair to try to give them grades right now. Nobody knows who's going to be good and not. Nobody. I mean, imagine when I got drafted in the last round, it was like, oh, that guy's not even going to make the roster. Like, see, so, I mean, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know what's inside of some of these guys and their motivation.
All right, I'll get you my future prediction because I predicted the future. I just should have said it. I skipped that because we had a good future and past discussion. We were mixing things up. We got phone calls, people with Kerr stories and Hainsworth stories. We'll get to those. I will also tell you how I saw the future. It's all coming up. Blaine and Mickey 104.5, The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, when trust matters. NBA playoffs have tipped off and they're rolling and they have been fun and there has been excitement, right? You're loving it. And it's not too late to get in on all the action with FanDuel as well with these NBA playoffs. That's because right now new customers are getting $150 in bonus bets with any $5 bet, whether it's player props or overs and unders or live bets or championship futures. Maybe you're ready to call a winner on the whole thing. Well, you can do it all and so much more. And there's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. You just go to FanDuel.com/sportsbook FanDuel.com/Mickey to get you started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. You do have to be 21 or older, though present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. If you got a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. So I saw into the future. And at the time, I even thought this, but I didn't say it. I got to be more deliberate about just saying things that I'm thinking. Brian Callahan on the 10th of April did like a pre-draft thing. That was a couple of days after Tavondre Sweat had visited. So I went back and checked the dates. He visited on like the 7th or the 8th. He visited Monday, and this was Wednesday, so maybe it was the 8th versus the 10th. But he got asked about how he approaches draft prospects who have off-the-field issues or character concerns. This is Brian Callahan. This is part of the transcript. And it's a really long answer, so I'll go to the end. So you really want to do your homework, make sure if the character issue is considered a real character issue that we don't want to absorb into our locker room, that we know is legitimate, or one that we want to take a risk, or one that we don't want to take a risk on, he said, or maybe it isn't that, and the perception is that there's issues with somebody, and there are things that we've worked through and feel comfortable with. So that's what this process is for, and that's why we spend the time we do with these guys in the 30 visits and on the Zoom interviews. There's a ton of time invested into making sure that we get whatever those issues might be ironed out, and whether they're real issues that have to be dealt with, or they're things maybe that aren't as detrimental as the perception might be. He just laid it all out for you. And at the time, I thought, gosh, Sweat was just here. And he's dealing with what he's dealing with. People are saying what they're saying. But, man, he was real deliberate. That's a third of what he said in the question.
And I think a big part of that whole thing is he understands, like, where these prospects are in their life. They're young. They're 20, 18, 19, 20, 21. And he understands what it was like to be that age in college, and
he said that earlier in this lengthy answer,
and what's around you. And so I like that he's understanding and willing to dig deeper and find out like the truth, and not just read a headline and be like, oh yeah, no, he's not going to be good for our team. And not saying like all coaches do that, but I feel like it does happen sometimes, and you can miss out on some good players if you just focus on the headlines.
Well, they didn't focus on the headlines. To go to that, this is part of the same answer. He said, I think you have to really make sure you're judging kids on the right things and doing the homework on the background and making sure that you're not making any assumptions about what a college coach told you when the scout went in November to visit. So you really do your homework and make sure that the character issue is considered a real character issue. So...
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody just tries to loop everybody in the same boat. I never had any issue with him as far as character. I don't know the guy. You talk to anybody at Texas, they can't say anything bad about him.
Yep.
So, that narrative just took off and people just ran with it who aren't doing the homework. So I don't listen to that. So So I don't even think it needs to be addressed. He talked about it, but there was never, that's what people are saying, not people who have vetted him. Name another time that he got in trouble.
Exactly.
Never.
See, everybody can make a mistake, as I said yesterday. So, yeah, it is. He that was interesting that he had a little insight there. But, they did their homework. There was no doubt about that. When we find out that they flew there, it's almost like they knew that they were going to take him.
Oh, yeah.
If we go down this road, we better make sure we're sure. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the Spencer. Did y'all see the stuff about Spencer Rattler and why,
No, I didn't.
he might have fallen? And then there were some national people coming out saying, oh, well, some teams might still feel concerned about that.
Because of the show he did when he was in high school.
When he was in high school, Blaine.
What did he do?
He was on a show about high school quarterbacks.
It was him, Jake Fromm, and one other guy. Mm-hmm. And he in this show he came off as like really arrogant, like.
Well, yeah, I just said Sweat was arrogant yesterday. People were saying that based off of, and I said that's not arrogance. That's
confidence. Like he had a bad look.
He was being mean, showing up his teammates and telling guys you suck,
being a really bad
in a TV show
in high school.
They were taping their practices and stuff, and they were running a drill. The video that I didn't see any of it. The video that made the rounds was them doing a drill and him telling a teammate, "We lost because you suck." And the guy's like, "Stop telling me I suck." Mm-hmm. And they had a kind of a dust up. But anyway, didn't see it. But there were people who said, "Oh yeah, I remember when the show was out." But people were saying that perception of him being arrogant and aloof and not a good teammate. And Beamer said, every time they put a microphone in front of him, he's 20-something years old. He was a fantastic teammate. His teammates loved him. He was 16, 17 years old at the time. You can't judge him on that.
I definitely wouldn't. Matter of fact, I would have thrown that out and said, this is not part of my evaluation of him. I mean, do you know how many kids have said silly, stupid stuff at that age?
Yep.
Really? Who don't understand how to lead at any point in time during that time? So, no, that's what I'm saying. You can't. Look, you know how many people who are in the league or even on TV now are in the media, and if people had video of them of what they said back then, they wouldn't even have jobs. So you can't evaluate now. If he continued in college, then that's a whole nother story. And you keep hearing it from his first school, Oklahoma, and then you hear it again at South Carolina. Then all of a sudden now it's an issue. This is who he is.
Yep.
You can't base it off of
that.
You can't. Like, that's why I said, what are y'all talking about? Like
Yeah.
That didn't even factor in. I
was shocked when I saw that people were saying, oh, yeah, some teams are still worried about that from high school. And I was like, why? That was like 6 years ago. He's a whole different human being now.
Right. Exactly.
Let's get Jack's story about Albert Haynesworth right quick. Jack, what's going on? Thanks for the call.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, man. What you got?
Back in I'm guessing the late 90s, back when a Nashville citizen could still go to Opryland for the holidays and not pay to park like the West Marriott, we would go out there and walk around and see all the decorations and lights and everything. So we're out there one Christmas, and we get down there in the deep end where all the big convention and meeting rooms are, and there's a piano standing in the hallway. So I said, well, it's Christmas. So I sit down, and I start playing Christmas carols. And I'm looking across the way, and it's obvious behind this door over here, there's a big party going on. You can hear the music through the wall and all. And sooner or later, Jeff Fisher walks in and out. And then Blake, who was the silver-haired guy who used to do all y'all's security?
Oh, man, I forgot. I know you're talking about, though, yeah. Right here.
And then a couple of players. So I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, wow, it must be a Titans Christmas party. And all of a sudden, and I go back to playing, I look up, and I keep looking up, and I keep looking up, and I keep looking up. And he'd walked over there and was standing right in front of me, Albert Haynesworth, in the flesh. That sounds like good, and he asked me for silent. I was silent. So I start playing. He says, I wonder how heavy this is. He leans down. I'm on a baby grand. He's at the far end. He leans down with one hand and picks the little end up off the ground and sets it back down. And so when I was watching these guys they drafted this week and seeing these very large human beings, I thought, oh, yeah, these are people bigger than my normal experience. But, a couple of them come out, and I was playing Christmas carols. Yeah, it was a hoot.
That's
one of those things you just run in and live in someplace,
Well, only in Nashville, man, for sure. But you have a guy just killing it on piano, in a hallway in the Opryland Hotel, and Albert Haynesworth picking up the piano as he played it. Jack, good story. You got a story, anything you want to share? Coach Mack's going to join us in the second hour of the program, and you can too at 615-737-1045. Hour number 2 coming up next, including headlines. It's all powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, or as you may know them as TOA. And TOA has 29 locations, over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to the orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. So whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can visit TOA online at TOA.com. Or you can just give them a call at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
Good afternoon. It is 2:02. I'm Joseph Bonanno from the 104.5 The Zone studios in NFL news. Today, veteran center Brian Allen is signing with the Browns, and the Raiders have officially signed former Cowboys wide receiver Michael Gallup, and then Ezekiel Elliott has officially made his return to Dallas, signing a 1-year deal, making that official this morning. Also, VFL Jordan Beck has a chance to make his debut after being called up to the Rockies yesterday. He joins the team as they start their series versus Miami later this afternoon. Tonight in the NBA playoffs, it's all Eastern Conference action as the Knicks have a chance to knock out the 76ers and advance to the second round with a win tonight at Madison Square Garden. Same scenario for the Pacers, who can knock out the Bucks, and then the Magic and Cavs all tied up at 2 games apiece, looking to take a series lead. Tonight in the NHL playoffs, 4 different teams look to advance to the second round with a win. Boston looks to knock out the Maple Leafs. Carolina looks to knock out the Islanders. The Avalanche can take out the Jets. And finally, the Preds head back to Vancouver after dropping both home games, looking to keep their season alive. Puck drop for the Preds and Canucks is at 9 p.m. tonight on TBS. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's go, Blaine and Mickey. Tuesday, hour number 2. Coach Mack coming up in about 20 minutes, so you want to stick around for that. Remember, if you miss anything, you want to hear anything again, the Blaine and Mickey podcast awaits you at all your favorite podcast spots. Also, you can just download the Zone app. Then just take us everywhere you go. You'll never miss anything again. Wherever you go, just take us with you. Roger Goodell, wherever you go, he wants you to have a regular season NFL game to watch. If you listen to this show, you know that a certain former NFL player named Blaine Bishop has said they're going to push more and more games down the throats of America. Just get ready. If 16 games is good, 17's better. If 17's good, 18's better. Blaine is convinced they will get to 20, and I certainly agree with him. That's probably where Goodell would like to get to. He was on Pat McAfee's podcast over draft weekend, and he spilled the beans. He finally just said what we've all been thinking all this time, and what Blaine said, look, this is exactly what's going to happen. How long you been saying that? How long have we been a show? 4 years?
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while.
4 years at least. I threw out 18 games on the Pat McAfee show. This is a quote. I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season game any day. That's just picking quality. If we get to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. That's Roger Goodell. They would give them an extra week off because he's so kind, Blaine, because player safety comes first. He mentioned, okay, you'd get 2 bye weeks, and if you did that, that would bump the Super Bowl back another week, which would basically make the Super Bowl President's Day weekend. We don't. But many people do get that Monday off. Mm-hmm. You give everybody. Blaine, he's a man of the people, Goodell. Out there with back problems, getting picked up by J.C. Latham, risking his life and limbs. But he said, finally, he just said it out loud. And of all people, he just laid it out to Pat McAfee like, oh, no, it's not an unreasonable thing. 18-2. I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season game any day. Now, I did a little bit of digging. Front Office Sports, some of the business sites that cover the NFL. The current CBA, if you follow this stuff, and Blaine probably knows this off the cuff because got friends in the league, still work in the league, March of 2030 is when the next CBA bargaining is. Any season expansion before that would mean a renegotiation. It would also mean them offering however many more regular season games to the networks. So that would also open that again. Do you think there's any way on God's earth in the year of our Lord 2024 that we don't have 18 games sometime before 2030? Because he just came out and said what you've been saying for years.
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to happen. I mean, he doesn't just say, he's not just saying that just to say that. Like, he has a plan in place. They've probably already had discussions about it behind closed doors, and they're just waiting until they can strike the iron while it's hot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I don't know the details of the CBA. If he can get out of it and then change the, and it still has to get approved by the, NFL, PA and everybody else. But we all know how that works. the NFL dictates, and they just agree or disagree or say they disagree, but they still agree. So, I eventually think it's going to get to 20 games. And you said Roger Goodell's the man of the people. No, Roger Goodell is the man of the money of the owners.
Oh, yeah, I was kidding.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. So, in reality, that that's what that really means.
Yep.
And so, hey, I like Roger. He does a great job, and and everything else with how he presents things. But this is show how the NFL is thinking years ahead, where everybody else is just thinking about today. Mm-hmm. See, so that's kind of how the process works, and he's selling it now. That's what he's really doing. He's getting you used to hearing it, and you thinking about it, and you're going to do it. And when it happens, when they do pull the trigger, whenever that year is, whether it's in 2030 or 2027 or whenever it may be, you'll be like, oh, we've heard that before. We're used to it. We're ready. Mm-hmm. Now I'm wondering what the player's going to get out of it besides a bye week, if it goes to 18. It goes like, oh, well, you're not playing. No, we're still employed during that time. So, it's going to be kind of interesting. I wish they just go to 20 now, but they won't. They won't. That's a little too much, because reason why they delayed this whole process, and you knew their plan was because of COVID and everything else that was going on. They couldn't then add it to 18 then. Right. When they first, they had the negotiations then, but you could see what they were thinking.
It came up in 2011, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. The owners have sought an 18-game season since the negotiations with the NFLPA that led to the 2011 labor deal that increased the regular season from 16 to 17 in 2021 after securing the CBA in 2020, it says. Here's a quote from somebody who represents the players. I strongly believe they will bring something to the NFLPA in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, so it could be sooner. I don't know all the, clauses in there where maybe it gives an opportunity, even with clauses with TV networks and how they could renegotiate that deal if they could, make this happen. So, yeah. It's just, that's his job, actually, is to, put things out there and take the blows for the owners. If it becomes that about, oh, what about, team safety? Or, and if nobody questions them on that, then they are then working for the NFL, in my opinion, the media. Because you got to ask them that question. That has to be the first question.
Washington Post says people on the player side believe that powerful owners such as Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft are strong supporters. Hey, man, what Jerry and Robert want.
It always happens. They are the two most powerful owners in the NFL. And then if you want to just say that, in the world.
Yes, certainly in our world.
So, hey, that's how it works, man. And pretty much if you don't agree as an owner, he will then convince you in some form or fashion, why it's good. And it's always going to come back to the dollars, as I always say. And they're going to eventually, that's why I say 20, because they're going to eventually have some division out of the country. I think that's their play, or why they're playing games in Brazil and these different locations, is because they want to test and see what the fan base and the interest is in these countries. And then they may make a division over there of 4 teams, and then they play. And then that way, when they come over here and play, you're over there, you get to play all 4 teams. That way you won't have to keep coming back and forth. Something like that. That's what I envision. It'd be something similar to that. It may not exactly be like that, but I think that's where it's going to go eventually when it's all over. Because his whole point is, I think he wants to get to, $50 billion or whatever his number is that he makes. People all want to play in the NFL. First thing I would tell my son is, no, you want to be the commissioner of the National Football League. You don't have to take any blows but verbal blows.
Yep.
And you'll make $50 million a year. That's how you got to start thinking.
Now, one thing that Goodell did say during that segment was that he didn't care for the preseason at all. He said he didn't think it was necessary, that he didn't care for it, and that he thinks fans don't care for it. Did teams feel that same way? Do you think?
No. What do you think he's really saying, though?
I know he wants more games in the regular season instead.
Right. Well, he's selling you that nobody basically comes to the preseason games. Yeah. They don't like the preseason game. He's selling that. So then when he changes it to regular season games, you won't be pissed.
Right. I didn't even like those anyway.
Right. See?
Yeah, nobody likes those. He's trying to manipulate
everybody in the audience.
But just from a team standpoint, how do teams feel about the preseason? Is what I'm trying to get at.
They're making money regardless if people show up or not. I don't know. I couldn't tell you how teams feel about the preseason. Here's what's happened. The individual teams in the scrimmages, that's kind of taken over for preseason. And so that's why now, and then half the people don't come because you're not playing your starters in a game that it's only 2 or 3 games. And you said, I don't want to risk my star players that I'm paying a lot of money to. So I think that's what he's really saying. So why play them? So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. I just, it's spelled all out there for you, to me. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. And, yeah, he's got time.
And as you've always said, this is going to come to the table. Washington Post, Mark Maskey, he's the one who wrote this, a long-time OG NFL reporter. They're expecting 12 to 18 months. And what do you always say? If the player rep walks into most of these locker rooms and says, they've offered us this much more money if we'll play another game.
Yeah. The masses are going to say, yeah. And then the veteran guys who are not the masses are not going to say anything. I mean, they're going to say, let's not play. But,
right.
Unless we get some perks from it, what are the repercussions? I mean, so, there's going to be a lot of discussion about that. More games, more hits to the head. And they're going to say that we put all these new rules in to stop them. It's just a, continuous deal. I mean, never evolving cycle. So, hey, they can say they're trying to do their best to make the game safe.
If they don't expand the rosters, because when it went to 17,
that's what I want.
Not one, it needs to be at least 60 people.
I don't know, because a lot of people say, oh, they've already expanded the practice squads to 15 guys or whatever it is. So I don't know. I feel like it should be 80, but a lot of people will say, well, it's the attrition of the league that we want to see who can stay the healthiest to the end.
Yeah.
And then who's surviving. It's like, we're on, we're out there in battle.
Yeah, but what's going to get more eyes if you're starting 60 different quarterbacks in a season, or if your star quarterbacks are playing all 17, 18, 19, 20 games, whatever it is.
That's why if I was commissioner of the UFL, I would have the NFL third-string quarterbacks that any team wanted to send me to take reps in my league. Because you're going to have to play. It's 18 regular season games, bro. Think how many there's dudes played this year we'd never heard of.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
It's going to be the future. And Mickey Ryan's UFL, NFL third-string quarterbacks. Like dudes would go play in NFL Europe, remember? And then Kurt Warner played in NFL Europe. He came back and eventually worked. Guys would go over there and get seasoned in Berlin or somewhere. Then they'd come back and eventually make the team. Teams would send guys over there. Yep, bananas. You're going to Dusseldorf, Germany. Then you'll be ready to go. We'll get you seasoned over there overseas. So
this was all open from COVID. Because once they realized they could play any day of the week,
any time of the week,
started that they are.
Yes.
We're losing out on opportunities to make more money.
They saw the Titans beat the crap out of the Bills on a Tuesday night and said, "We want more of that."
Oh, I don't know if that was it, but yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing on Friday night this year.
They're starting the season off on a Friday night.
What night is Christmas? Is it a Wednesday? I think. Going to play on.
I think it is Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. They're doing whatever they want to. And most of the time with things like this, you'd be like, enough is enough. Like when you order a pizza and the first slice of pizza is delicious, then you eat the second slice, that's pretty good. And eventually you just kind of run out of steam. People keep eating the pizza. So they're like, how about more pizza? More days of the week. You keep liking it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time they said they would never play on Friday because that was high school football.
Yes. And not on Saturday as long as the colleges were still playing. Yeah, they don't care. A bunch of this is a big blank you to the NBA. You think you own Christmas? Wait till you see how poor your ratings are when we throw the Lions on TV against you. All right, Coach Mack set to join us next. Let's get some Mack Attack coming up on Blaine and Mickey.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready for when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Well, some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get an appointment, but not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the repair shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, "We will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take the pain away." And we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't and won't. Family owned for 24 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. No, it's still playing, such a.
All right, let's talk to all of you ladies and gents who are out there dealing with hair loss. Maybe your strategy has just been to wear a hat all the time and hope nobody notices. But then, you got to go to like your grandmother's house at Christmas and you can't wear a hat, and then you take your hat off and you think, is everybody looking at me? Look, here's the thing. Just get your hair back with PAI. Just go to WeGrowHair.com. Stop hiding it. Guys, there's the give up haircut where you finally just go to the barber and you go, I give up, just buzz it. I know several guys who told me that story, and they say, yeah, I just finally said buzz it. The give up haircut, that's what they called it. Well, you don't have to give up. Matter of fact, you can just give yourself a little bit of time, head down to Brentwood and see Michael Ramsey and his amazing team, and they're going to give you a game plan. So the first visit's free. You just go and you say, hey, I want to meet with you guys. I want to know how I got to where I am and how to get to where I want to be. Think about the people on the billboards. You have WeGrowHair.com billboards all around Nashville. Those are real people and real results, the realest. So if you want your own real hair growing back on your own real head, stop the madness and the hats and the give-up haircuts. Call now, 615-376-6010, or go to WeGrowHair.com. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Oh, yeah.
That's post-draft time. Coach Mack covered it all on The Zone. It sounded great. Him and Rhett Bryant got their board all organized and executed it all over the course of the draft. Now Coach Mack joins us to discuss it all, thanks to the good people at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coach Mack, what's it like for you when the draft is over? Is it like the end of summer camp and all your friends leave town? I mean, how do you deal with that? You focus on it so much, and then 3 days go by and the whole darn thing's over with.
Yeah, just take a big breath of air and exhale a little bit. Been working on it for about 4.5, 5 months, and then we're on the air for 9 hours, and then all of a sudden it's done. Now I've been up there at the facility, watching the phase 2 part of this workout go, and then next week when those rookies come in here on Thursday, we'll be up there to watch that. So it's just it's kind of my life cycle that I've been in for the last 39 years. This is the next step in that life cycle, but pretty much of an exhale, because it's a lot of work getting prepared for it. As you guys well know, you prepare for it too, and then 9 hours live on the air will keep you pretty engaged.
Callahan said taking big guys was very intentional at the top of the draft. He said they did it by design. They took over 700 pounds of guys with the first 2 picks of this sucker.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they've got 2 big guys. I mean, they're probably going to have a seating chart with weight distribution on the plane. Those 2 guys won't be able to sit on the same side of the plane or the bus. But yeah, I mean, look, it's important. I was up there today, visiting with several of the coaches, and they needed to add talent and size to both fronts, because really, as much as the game has been spread out, and people like to talk about spinning the ball through the air and opening it up, it's still a big man's game up front, and you've got to be able to be combative and competitive up there. And so they've started in on that.
Coach Mack hanging out with us, giving us the Mack Attack on Blaine and Mickey, courtesy, of course, with Two Rivers Ford.
Well, Coach, based off of your board that you do horizontally and vertically, which pick of the Titans had the best value of the Tennessee Titans draft picks?
You know what? And I'll bring my board up there and show you guys sometime when I'm up there, and we clicked it off. The vertical and horizontal board, they clicked off in the pods where we had them. I mean, it was all the first pod, for the first round pick, second pod for the second round pick, all the way through. Even with the 7th pick, he was in our 7th pod. So we put a lot of time into it. And again, as I say, I've learned how to set up draft boards, from guys that were really good at it, and then you've got to just study it. But so none of them really surprised me. I thought that all of the pods that where we were, and Mike Keith was really kind of looking at Rhett and I like, wow. I mean, you guys kind of spot on this, because you've got to put them in pods. You can't just say, well, here's who's going here, because the draft boards are so different. Mm-hmm. And I talk to people before and after the draft, especially after the draft. Draft boards are so different as far as what people will reach for and go for. When it's their time to pick. And the other thing that made this draft a little bit different, Blaine, was the fact that you only had 50-something guys come out, declare, juniors come out and declare, because they went back in for the NIL money. And so this board was really set up different. But I will say that I'm pretty proud of where ours was, because at least we had a chance when we were doing our thing live, that Mike Keith would always ask us, okay, here in this area coming up, who are you guys' top guys? And we would click them off, and then one of them would go in that round. And that's what you try to do with your board. You get your board set not only for your team, but for everybody else across, as far as value-wise, across the league.
Speaking of this, it may be an unfair question, because I'm trying to ask you the percentages of hit and misses of first-round picks compared to undrafted guys who actually make the roster. Do you know those numbers, or off the cuff somewhere near the numbers of what that would be?
Well, first of all, you've got more undrafted guys than you have picks. Okay,
especially first-round picks.
Yeah, you have more undrafted guys than you have first-round picks. But I think by position-wise, I mean, I've seen a chart, that goes by position-wise. The highest position-wise that makes it percentage in the league is centers. Okay, but there's only been about 11 or 12 centers, over the years that have been first-round picks. So the next group is tackles. Offensive tackles, but it's still around a 50% hit and then it decreases. It decreases from there. But with the undrafted players, you're talking about, it's a different subset of how many people, because there are way more undrafted players than there are first-round picks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack, I always look at the rankings of the draft classes by a lot of the experts and a lot of mock drafts. And it seems to me it's a little unfair. You don't really know who's going to pan out and who's not. I mean, it's just a guesstimate and nobody really knows. How do coaches and GMs kind of look at those, I guess, ratings of grades of their draft class?
I can promise you this. I coached for 31 years, never looked at one. Never looked at one. I looked at as many of those as I do look at mock drafts. You guys know how I feel about mock drafts. I never paid any attention to it because, first of all, a lot of and of course, there, as I said, there's a lot. Really, guys, seriously, a head coaching job in the National Football League and a general manager should be the easiest job in America to fill because everybody is one. Everybody thinks they are one, and so, it's different. It's different when you're doing it for real. I never paid any attention to it, and most of these people that are doing these things, I would assume, the next draft pick they make will be the first one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack, I guess I have one more, of the guys that they've signed thus far that were undrafted. I'm always intrigued with those guys because a lot of those guys should have been drafted, just not enough slots. Thus far, the guys they signed undrafted. Anybody intrigue you that you have a draftable grade with? Or
I don't know. I don't know who because they haven't released them yet.
Okay. Aaron Wilson had a whole bunch of the guys the Titans had. I know there's the Texas Tech guy who actually came on a visit. I think offensive lineman.
That kid was originally, I know who that is.
Cole Spencer.
Spencer.
Cole Spencer was originally at Western Kentucky. Okay, he was originally at Western Kentucky,
right?
And then he was able to come here. I know about him because he was able to come here for the local pro day, and then he went to Texas Tech, for his final year. I know that name, but until you bring, and again, I've been involved in this, until you bring those guys in and they pass a physical and they actually sign their contract, then you never know, because you can agree and guys will come in and all of a sudden, because some of these guys are guys that have not gone through a complete, total physical if they were not invited to the combine, and then they may not pass when they come in. So I couldn't speak on that yet because I haven't seen exactly. I'll be able to once I see the official list.
Okay, got you. All righty. Coach Mack, giving us a Mack attack.
Hanging out with Coach Mack. I was listening to some of the OTP content and really enjoyed it. I know you're excited about Frank Bush and what he can do with Cedric Gray as a position coach. I enjoyed hearing you break that down.
Yeah, he really, who Gray reminds me of, and I liked this kid. I liked him at the Senior Bowl. I liked his tape. He reminded me so much of just watching his college tape. He's a faster Tulloch is what he is. And the guy's got a great GPS to the ball. He understands and gets it. I talked to Bush today about him. Bush felt the same way. This is a guy that I think really, along with Gray, and I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if the Williams, the player that they took, the safety / hybrid linebacker that they took out of Miami, that he won't end up in Bush's room too, and then they will use him as a hybrid player, I would think, because there's a lot of altered fronts that Denard's going to use in this defense. A lot of it, and Blaine's familiar with it, just like what Greg Williams did. Throughout his career, have a lot of altered fronts defensively with this hybrid player. These two guys, Bush did tell me this today. These two guys work out at the same place and they've got the same agent. So they've been working out together for quite a while. So I really like Cedric Gray. I liked his game. I liked his game at North Carolina, and then I thought he stood out at the Senior Bowl.
If you draft a player, let's say Tavondre Sweat, there are questions about his weight or what he weighed last year when he was playing, and that's something that comes up all the time. If you draft somebody and that's a battle that they fight, is trying to maintain a certain level of weight, as a head coach, as a staff member, what do you put in place for somebody like that to help make sure that happens?
Well, first of all, it's all been talked about before you ever pick the guy.
Yeah.
After he had the incident, and they and Rand said it. He and Callahan they flew down to Huntsville, Texas, where he's from. They flew down to Huntsville to sit and talk and say, hey, if so happens that you're here. I mean, you've got to set all that out in motion. I've been involved with big guys all my coaching career, starting with Hampton, McMichael in the fridge, in Chicago, going right through to had Eric Swan all those years. And I mean, big dudes. I mean, big bears on two legs, at Arizona. And then, of course, coming here with Albert Haynesworth. Albert Haynesworth, was one of those guys, that was special. And, at the Rams there with Michael Brockers, you get those big dudes. And I mean, you've got to be able to control and dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides. And size does matter there if you got size and physicality. But you ask a question. I mean, I've been involved with those types of players, and those types of players that have been successful, they buy into being a professional. And, when you start visiting with these guys, you tell them getting paid to play is right at the bottom of your list of being a professional. Here's the other things 1 through 5 that you've got to do to be able to recognize and realize the talent that you have and make it work.
Hanging out with Coach Mack, getting the Mack Attack here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Coach, what were your thoughts on Jalen Harrell? I didn't know much about him. Looking him up, edge guy from Michigan. I thought I actually played linebacker initially when they first got him, and then I realized, oh no, he's an edge guy. He's a rush guy, and I know his dad played in the league as they were talking about it. So got the pedigree. What do you think he can really turn into? What's his comparable? Who do you I guess?
I think he's a rotational edge guy, in my humble opinion. And I haven't talked to the defensive coaches up there a lot, but I know that where he was taken and what he did at Michigan is very productive there at Michigan. When you put on his tape and you watch it, but I think his initial and he's got some special teams value. To me, his entry into a National Football League roster will be as a rotational edge guy. That's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. And Jarvis Brownlee, I was having trouble seeing his deep end speed, but man, what a dog! And I think that's kind of with all these guys that stands out when you see them on the tape. That these dudes love ball and they passion. When they get out there, they get after it. But I couldn't see that. What were your thoughts on Brownlee there at cornerback? Is he a nickel corner? What is he?
No, yeah, he'll be. I think they will put him. I think they will put him at a nickel. His defensive back coach, a guy named Steve Ellis, came and sat with me at the combine. And because he had Louisville had some guys in there. They had a running back. Anyway, I sit with a lot of some college coaches. They'll let in the combine to watch their guys work out. And then I really liked him at the Senior Bowl, and I love the fact that you said dog, because that's what he is. I think that he will be a slot corner. He played a lot of press man. Steve Ellis played him in a lot of press man there at Louisville. He got in people's grill in the at the Senior Bowl. I think his speed. He's not a 4.3 guy, but he's also I think he's better than a 4.5 guy. So I like his attitude. Look, Denard Wilson, you guys will get to know him. I mean, if he wants his defensive backs to have some dog in them, and this guy's got it. And I think that he'll make an immediate impact on teams. And I think right now, just as the way things look, and again, I don't talk to the coaches. I don't know what their depth chart is or what their plan is. I would be shocked if he's not the fourth corner going out of training camp.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're with Coach Mack giving us a Mack Attack. I guess so. One more. The helmets, they're talking about they're going to wear these helmet protectors now. Is that an option? Do you understand the new rule there in the NFL?
That's an option. They can wear them if they want to for the games. It started out that it was the way they started with it with those caps was that it was certain positions that had to wear them during practice, and then they started evolving to most people wearing them during practice. Now it's an option. If a player wants to wear them, they have sanctioned them and certified them. They can wear them in ball games. Yes, but it's up to the player.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks for the clarity there, Coach Mack, giving us clarity on the helmet caps.
Hey, just real quick on the way out, James Williams, real interesting guy. His physical comp is literally Keith Bullock. That's who he looks like physically. We know nobody is bully, Coach, but what do you see with him moving from safety to linebacker into pros?
I'll tell you how they're going to use him. I'm going to give you guys a name, and just remember, you heard it from me first. And he made this transition, and I was involved in his transition. Remember Mark Barron?
Yeah.
Remember when Mark Burns from Alabama that was drafted down there at Tampa Bay to play Tampa 2 as a 2 deep safety? That was really not his world. We traded for him at the Rams because of the defense that just like this defense that Denard's going to put in, cross-trained him at that, and he became a very, very valuable piece. I think Frank Bush will be the guy that will get a hold of this guy, and that's where. And he's going to be an immediate teams guy because he's got his physical numbers are really good, and I think with some training, he will be that hybrid guy. I like this guy, and especially at that pick. I like it.
What about his coverage? Because that's the only thing I couldn't see when I watched a lot of tape of James Williams. Like I'm thinking, oh man, he could play dime on some of these big time tight ends. Does he have coverage?
He can match a tight end. He can match a tight end, and that's another reason that I think you hit that right on the nose there, Blaine.
It's going to be interesting to see him all out on the field. We will soon. Rookie minicamp coming up really soon. Of course, once we see it, we'll discuss all that and more with Coach Mack as we do this time every Tuesday. Thank you, Coach, for the time today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Guys, always enjoy my time with you guys. See you.
Yes, sir. Always enjoy our time with Coach Mack. All right, when we come back, get out your wallets, Bananas and Blaine. I got a $164 million question for you fellas. Coming up next, Blaine and Mickey.
Allergy season is upon us and pollen is in the air. But fear not, Cool-Ray has your back. And our $49 tune-up will have your HVAC system running smoothly, keeping allergens at bay. Plus, enjoy 10% off indoor air quality products for an extra boost. So are you ready to say goodbye to your old HVAC system? Well, with Cool-Ray, it's out with the old and in with the new. And we'll even give you $1,000 for your old system when you upgrade with us. That's right, we'll pay you to breathe easier. But let's not overlook the little things that keep your home humming. Our $93 drain cleaning service ensures your pipes stay clear and stress levels low. So if you can't clear your drain, well, that's on us. Consider our way of keeping things flowing smoothly. And with Tennessee's unpredictable weather, it's crucial to be prepared. That's where our whole home generators come in. With $1,500 off, you can keep your home powered up, rain or shine. So don't let Mother Nature catch you off guard. Let Cool-Ray be your beacon of reliability. So Tennessee, are you ready to embrace spring with confidence? Give Cool-Ray a call today and let us make this season a breeze. We're your partner in comfort, no matter the seasons. So here's to spring filled with sunshine, smiles, and stress-free living. Cool-Ray, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and lights bright. Visit Coolray.com to take control of your home's comfort. That's Coolray.com.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. So LeBron James and the Lakers, they're done for the year. Whether you like the Lakers or you don't like the Lakers, or you like LeBron or you don't like LeBron. He's 39 years old. He has a $51.4 million option this season that he can exercise or he can turn it down. If he turns it down, he's eligible for a max. If he turns down 51, he's eligible for a max deal of 3 years, $164 million. I would ask you two, future NBA general managers, would you give 39-year-old LeBron James, because remember, it's the NBA, every penny is guaranteed. Would you give him 3 years and $164 million that he would be making when he was 42 years old to play for your team?
Man, that's so the options are pay him $54 million a year for 3 years.
That's more than that. That's 55 and change.
55 and change. Or
and the option is his. He decides if he wants it or not.
Or pay him or get 51 and then
for 1 year.
You get to go wherever you want after that.
Yep.
For him, I think he'll probably do the 51 because I think he's going to want the flexibility to be able to go wherever Bronny goes. Because I was telling you guys in the break earlier, I think Bronny is probably more than likely going back to school. I know he entered the transfer portal, and I know he also declared for the NBA draft like a lot of those guys do when they contest the waters without actually going in. So for him, I think he'll want the flexibility of being able to go wherever Bronny goes if he's going to play until that age.
I actually agree with that, but only reason why I would go the other way is because LeBron did an interview after one of the games, and he said, well, I don't have too much longer in this game. They said, oh, you're still playing at a high level. And he goes, looking at him like, yeah, but, you know, he's probably just trying to get the 6 so he could tie with Kobe or whoever it is. I don't know, maybe Mike Jordan. I don't know how many titles does he have? 5?
LeBron, I think he only has 4.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to get to 5, and that way at least Kobe and some of the Shaq and some of those high level guys. But so I think he's gonna do the 1 year. I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jay in the chat says, "I'm a Lakers fan. It's time to get to rebuilding," which is what you were saying in the break.
I think they should have traded him. You got to think about how these elite players like Michael Jordan and all those guys, they. He was with the Wizard. I mean, that's when you're like, oh, I don't want to watch Michael Jordan anymore. He's done. He's not the same player. I don't want to watch him. But guess what? Nobody's watching the Wizards, but everybody was coming to those games to watch Michael Jordan. So I really believe they should have traded him, and I think that's when they're going to get over the hump because, first of all the players on the team abide by LeBron rules. I mean, he basically runs the team on the floor anyway, and it kind of limits what they need to be doing, really. He needs to take a back seat and become post-LeBron, and then he's got flexibility to be three-point shooter in the post, all that, and let the point guard be the point guard and let them have free reign to run the offense. He wants to be the point guard and everything else, and I just don't think they'll ever give around the hunt because he's not that dominant player like that anymore. In more ways than one. He can get 25, 6, and 6 all day. Mm-hmm. He can do it all the way to 45. I mean, so it's just, that's my take. If the Lakers want to get over the snide, they got to roll, let him roll.
Alonzo says, hell no, and I'm a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I know several people who are basketball fans, Lakers fans, they're like, look, man, it's time to figure out what's next.
Yeah. Also, if LeBron stays, you're more likely going to get stuck with Bronny James, whether you like him or not.
At some point.
Do you want to give up a roster spot and a contract to a guy you don't know? You're not even going to know if he's going to make it in the league.
Mike Jones says he has a no trade clause. Yes, but he can turn down his $51 million and become a free agent. Mike, is what we're saying. Not that,
and he can waive it.
And he can waive
the no trade clause.
If somebody offered where he wanted to go, he could definitely waive his no.
Anybody outside of LeBron, I'm sure there's a handful of other guys, Curry, but they can get away with that. But yeah, most everybody, no, I'm getting that 165.
It's out there. It's all guaranteed. It's out there. It is all guaranteed.
It's so funny watching like all the other sports, like their contracts compared to the NFL. It's like in baseball, like you get $700 million. You're getting that $700 million.
The NBA is begging a 39-year-old guy. The Lakers are begging him to take $55 million a year and come back at 39. That's the NBA. This is Blaine and Mickey, and it's time for us to go because it's time for 3HL.
But in the meantime,
In between time,
peace.